Today's class will be studying about market segmentation and the different parameters on which we perform the segmentation. This is part of your chapter 6, the next concept within this chapter, where we are trying to understand the retail consumer. These are the four different uh, common forms of segmentation that we are aware of, either based on geographical. It could be based on region, city, based on land, rural, metropolitan area, nationwide, just any kind of geographical arena that you can think of. It is area based accordingly. Demographic based on age, gender, income, occupation, education, nationality. We'll see further examples and we'll see about how the split is done. That makes us more easier to look into certain examples. Psychographic is more, I can attach it to the lifestyle. Generally, when the word psychographic is used, is more about lifestyle, personality, social status, but more so with lifestyle. And there's something called a framework. There's a VALS framework, not used everywhere, but used in certain situations. It started way back in America, and they started using this VALS framework. VALS is the one who gave it the terminology, and it's also used in India. We'll see that also. It's pretty interesting to understand how that works, the entire psychographic segmentation. And we look at behavioral. Behavioral is basically the you're trying to understand the user behavior in terms of the kind of product, the intensity of product that he uses, what kind of loyalty does he have towards the brand, how sensitive is he towards price, and what is the level of technology adoption that the user has. But these are just some parameters when it comes to behavioral segmentation. Uh, of course, among all this, the behavioral segmentation becomes a little tricky, and this is where you get to understand more and more the user behavior keeps changing, and it's more of a complex uh, segment to measure, and it's also a very interesting segment because it's an open segment. Geography kind of becomes more the more stereotyped. Demographic, you can kind of relate. You can say cartoons, the kids channels, and cartoons is what we want. Products for kids, products for elderly. Psychographic also somehow you can relate to lifestyles and social status and the personality, but the behavioral is the open arena. That's like the black box where you're going to find a lot of things which you are not sure what is going to be in there. You could just open the black box and you'll have many new things flying in from there. This is an example for you, a segmentation descriptor. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just those four segments, but when you look into segmentation strategies, there's much more segments that we can get into. The geographic, whether we're looking at region in terms of, no, this is a US example, where we're looking at Pacific, Mountains, Central, South, Middle, Atlantic, Northeast. But we're looking in India, it's just North, South, East, West. Population density, climatic, you can keep varying based on that. Demographic, and the products also will vary accordingly. Psychosocial is what they have defined here, more of the psychographic, and feelings and behaviors, which can just vary. Any of the further down parameters that I mentioned here. Take a good look at this because each of this you will have some kind of product variety. We'll look at some examples. Some is a good understanding for us or a good precursor for us to have further in-depth knowledge of exploration to go deeper into the entire concept. Or as we look at products, as we become aware of products, as we start using products, as we start seeing products, we will be able to categorize them into some of these segments or sub-segments. Why do we need this segmentation? At the end of the day, the benefits, though listed here, far more than what has been listed here. You kind of have a greater company focus. You're more clearer as to what are you developing, as to whom are you targeting. Are you a niche segment? What is the differentiation strategy that you're going to come up with? The company has a better, clearer, objective hand picture when they are trying to come up with their product. You better serve a customer's needs and wants. In any company, who can understand and serve the customer's needs is always going to be in profit, is always going to be in demand. Market competitiveness. You have done your segmentation well. If you have done your advertising and promotion to that segment well, you will sell. That's for sure. And you will basically have a competitive edge. It will help you to expand your market. You are tied up within a particular segment, within a particular market area. You want to expand, you know how to segment, you know how to enter a new market and capture a new segment. Segmentation helps you in expanding to a newer area, to a newer segment, not just area. Again, any of those sub-parameters of segmentation. You cannot get stuck to one segment. You can have to move to a new segment, because when you're trying to expand, it could be new product, it could be new area, it could be new anything based on whatever you're trying. Basically, probably also modification or innovation on the current product or service that you want to offer. Segmentation helps you target, again, in a very specific manner. Targeted communication. Every other advertising effort that you take up, every other marketing campaigning effort that you take up, every activity of yours becomes more specific. The more specific you are, the more focused you are, and the entire thing moves down what we call in the sales strategy, we call it as a sales funnel. You move deeper, deeper, deeper down to a point where you're digging more of a V shape. You have a lot of people in the beginning, and you're just segmenting, and you just kind of come down to that and to that minute detail where you know that you're coming and you're capturing a small audience, and you have that targeted communication. That's very important. So unless you segment, you can't just say, I have a product, I just put it to everyone. This is my entire area and I just market it to all. All is a very vague definition. You have to segment it on multiple parameters. By the way, all those segments that I mentioned earlier, these do not go separately. They go hand in hand. I can have a geodemographic segmentation, geographic plus demographic. I can have a geopsychographic segmentation. I can have a geographic, demographic, and behavioral segmentation all combined. That is what I mean by targeted communication. It becomes more specific and has a greater company focus, better serves the customer's needs and wants, and has a good market competitiveness. And yes, gives you the next level, which is upgrade and expand. 4 types of market segmentation that you're all aware of: demographic, psychographic, behavioral, and geographic, more depicted pictorially for you to have a visual remembrance. What are the strategies? Why do we do what we do in terms of this segmentation? Now, demographic is most accessible, cost effective, easiest way to identify a target. I don't have to put too much of effort in here. You basically are trying to combine, describe how members think and how they feel within a target market. That's it. That's what you're doing here. Okay. You can just get the data from your census, and you can just kind of start splitting them into demographics based on whatever variables, segmentation variables that you come up with. Psychological. What is this? You're already aware. Now, psychological has a further split into the lifestyle or psychographics, what we saw earlier. It refers to how people live, how they spend their time and money, what activities they pursue, and the attitudes and opinions about the world in which they live. One of the most widely used tools for life segmentation is VALS. I will talk about VALS later. I keep mentioning that. I'll bring it up when it's time. So, when I say psychological, you're looking at lifestyle, you're also looking at the other qualities of consumer segmentation, which are based on, well, you look at personality, the motivation, the perceptions, the learning, the level of involvement, the attitude. Now, sometimes you would wonder why are we going to such a depth. You may not go to such a depth, but the marketers and the people who are involved in product development, they go to such depths. Geographic, easy, understandable, what geographic means. I won't go deeper into that. But the idea, the theory behind the strategy is that people who live in the same area share some similar needs and wants, and that these needs and wants differ from those of people in the other area. So it's not just people in the area, but they also share a similar trait. It's the theory behind it. It's a theory. It's an assumption. Need not be. You can be living in the same area, but you may have different tastes. That's why I say segmentation has to be a combined effort and not just a secluded effort. It cannot be effort which is individualistic. It has to be a combined behavioral. Uh, you need to know about what your customer does, everything about a customer, in and out. And in online marketing, that's very easy, but in offline marketing, it's a challenge. Okay, retail value chain, a concept I'll touch upon here. This is something I'm leaving to you all for further read. What is a retail value chain? I'll just go through this slide and then go deeper into the market segmentation strategies after this with examples. That's what I mean. Retail value chain. What is retail value chain? It's nothing but all the actions that are taken, all the activities that are taken which enable their business to sell their product to customers right from the sourcing. It's more like you're looking at the supply chain, right from sourcing to the end sale to the customer. Getting it from the supplier to the final consumer. What entire chain, what is the value that it has to offer to the consumer? That's the retail value chain. Every action in the chain brings a portion of value to the entire process. Whether you are picking up from the supplier, whether you're sending it to the warehouse, transportation, the manufacturing process, the finished good has been transported to the warehouse. From there, it goes to a retailer, and from the retailer, it may go to multiple distributors. It goes to a retailer. From there, it has to come down to the entire strategies are used on pricing and etc. 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 And it finally goes to the end consumer where he purchases the product. So you can define it multiple steps. So let's look at some basic steps. The four steps in the retail value chain are creating the product, number one, storing the inventory, distributing the goods and making the product available for consumers. Okay, these are the four different steps that are generally in the retail value chain. Small businesses that participate in the retail value chain must be aware of how each of these processes operates. So now here comes the self-reading part for you all. Why I leave it to self-reading? Because what I want you all to do here, the concept of retail value chain becomes much more clearer with an example. What I want each of you to do, 13 members in the team, each of you have to look at a retail value chain of any one brand. Pick up a brand. I'll give you one brand. Nike has a very good value chain network. Okay, example, I'm giving you one example. And generally, what they do is a value chain analysis of what is done to understand the entire retail value chain. How the product comes in from the. By the way, Nike is a product which does not have any of the manufacturing facilities. They don't own any manufacturing facilities, by the way. They lease it out. All the manufacturing facilities are spread all around the world and mostly in China. They get it produced. That's how they get produced through a leasing agreement. They don't own any manufacturing. They spend all their efforts into the retail end. Uh, what do you say? End process where they just retail it, they sell it, and they spend most of their money into the advertising and campaigning efforts. You see a lot of advertising is done. They get in all these big players and they pay them to do the advertising. They go through celebrities or sports persons, are not celebrities, out term, and they put in a lot of effort into the product development or innovation. They put money into research. They don't put money into manufacturing. So that's a very simple process. If you have what is to be done, known what is to be done, don't put money into the value chain. I mean, into the manufacturing. That's how they generate value. If you look at their value chain, that's how they generate value in certain processes in the value chain. The creating the product is what they lease out, but how the storing also they lease out. But they have certain standards and procedures which everybody has to follow. So that will become a kind of a uniform procedure across all. You can pick up any product, you can pick up any brand, McDonald's, pick up a food product, pick up a clothing product, pick up any product, look at the retail value chain. That's the exercise I give you all, and that's a self-reading exercise. I'm not going to monitor it. I'm not going to ask you all to give me a write-up. I'm not going to ask you all to give me a PPT. No, it's for you all to look at any company, pick up any brand, any product, look at the retail value chain, understand that, and that basically gives you the understanding of the concept what retail value chain. The definition is right here in one slide. That's it. It's not a very complex concept. It's a very simple concept. Retail value chain, right from source to the supply to the end consumer. More of a supply chain you're looking at, and what the value I'm getting out of each process. How can I extract? How can I make each process better? And do I own this process? Do I lease it out? What do I do? Look at an example. Okay. The next video, I'll be a little bit more specific on the market segmentation strategy. Why I'm devoting an entire video to that, because I'll just go through examples, and that will kind of have remembrance value into our brains, and we'll be able to recollect it much easier. Thank you. Meet you in the next video.